And we are live. Welcome back to Quantum Rebel, Visionary Voices Unleashed. Last week, we completed a powerful soul series. There were 2 solo transmissions that came through me on the birthing of your quantum empire. It's a remembrance that we weren't born to just build a business, a brand, or even a movement. But we're here to architect soul-encoded architecture, infrastructure that holds legacy and sovereign influence and create that sacred wealth, not just for ourselves, but to uplift those around us, our communities, and the world. So that together we can create that tipping point that our humanity is so craving for and that allows us all to thrive, and including our planet, not through force, but through frequency. And today, we return to the frequency of dialogue with an amazing guest whose story echoes the very blueprint in the most unexpected, tender, and powerfully resonant way. And it is such an honor to have her here. So I'm your host, Chindia Ilonka, visionary catalyst, #1 best-selling author, and founder of Quantum Rebel Empire. And this is more than a podcast. It's a sacred field of remembrance where strategy follows soul and visionary voices like the one you're about to hear become portals to what's next. So let me introduce you to today's extraordinary guest, Rosalyn Rourke. She's a 2-time best-selling author, seasoned psychotherapist, Enneagram expert, grief alchemist, and oneness coach. And Rosalyn's life changed in an instant. The moment she received the call that no mother should ever have to answer. But rather than retreat, she chose to meet grief with presence, to honor death with life, to alchemize unimaginable pain into sacred purpose. And with over 30 years of clinical depth and a deeply intuitive spiritual edge, Rosalyn turns taboo topics such as death, shame, imagined unworthiness into doorways of power, purpose, and joy. Today, she guides women to stop leaking their power, embrace aging with elegance, and meet life and death with an unflinching curiosity. So whether she's unpacking Enneagram insights, reimagining grief, or curating luminary experiences, Rosalyn leads with deep, bold truth, a big heart, and just the right touch of mischief. Her best-selling book, When Wisdom Arrives, From Imagined Unworthiness to Freedom, it's more than a memoir. It's a living transmission. And within the pages, Rosalyn masterfully weaves her own story together with a powerful fable, a soulful tale of love, loss, and the liberation that emerges when we stop trying to fix life and simply meet it. So in today's episode, we'll explore what becomes possible when we surrender into presence, this now, and how grief, when alchemized, becomes a doorway to deeper joy. And also why radical truth, especially in the quiet, intimate spaces, is the fiercest kind of love. Rosalyn so wisely reminds us that wisdom isn't something we chase, it's something that we arrive when we stop running from the now. So, for this one, let's take a breath. Let this be a sacred pause, because this episode isn't just a conversation. It's a moment of return, a return to ourselves, to soul, to the power that lives within you, even after the unthinkable. So with that, please help me to welcome to the stage Rosalyn Rourke. Welcome, Rosalyn. It is such a pleasure and an honor to have you here, Rosalyn.
Thank you. And I want to say to everyone that Ilonka is so gifted with words and extricating the principle behind the words, the feeling behind the words, the energy behind the words, and exquisitely expressing it. I feel like I could go home now. She has said my message perhaps better than I could say it, but though her words may sound lofty to you, if you don't feel like you're there yet and you're still seeking, I want to say that what happened to me and what continues to be my experience is actually quite simple. And you don't have to be further along or brilliant or even intentional to receive what I received. So Ilonka said that I faced death. Not at first. Not at first. I was a psychotherapist. I'm a 4 on the Enneagram, which are feelers. I felt entitled to let it rip. I believed in the stages of grief. I believed in them. I taught them. I was around when they were developed. And I thought they were the best thing since sliced bread. So I fully inhabited it all, even though I'd been studying spiritual traditions for more than 20 years and was a psychotherapist. But the psychotherapy training led me to these stages of grief. And I was in it. I mean, just whatever. I was in it so far that in the grief that I wasn't even labeling it like look, you're in anger. Look, you're in depression. Look, you're into, I didn't have much denial. I was mostly in, how could this have happened? Why did it happen? Our lives are over. There's no way we can have, I wouldn't even say joy. I mean, there was no way that we could even exist. Like it was down to, how will we do Christmas? She loved Christmas. She loved Christmas the most. We did Christmas for Melissa. Now we don't care. Like, who cares about the traditions we were down to, how do we meet without her? Like, so concrete.
Can you take us there and help the audience understand? Because I've been reading your book, I'm going page by page. Can you help them understand what happened?
Well, I actually don't know exactly what happened. I know that a couple of things. Well, let me take you back to before she died, because it was a very important time. Um, and maybe I have to take you back to a visit that I had in Ireland with the most famous Irish mystic. What's her name again? It's skipping. Yeah, my mind is skipping it. We'll come back to it.
We'll
We'll put
come
it in the
back to it
notes.
and we'll put it in the show notes, not to
Yeah.
worry.
So we had a visit with her, a private visit. And she said, she's a very gentle person. And she said, you have to stop. And I heard it so loud. I'm pretty sure she didn't scream, but I heard it like she was screaming. You must stop worrying about Melissa. And she was referring to all the judging that I've been trying to release in every program, A Course in Miracles, psychotherapy, ancestral work. I mean, I knew it was wrong, but it was on me from my mother and her mother. It was generations. So skip to, you asked before Melissa died, what happened? So everything changed the 6 months before she died. I think, well, it was maybe 8 months that I went to see, gosh, it's driving me nuts that I can't think of her name, but it's okay. We went to see her. Everything changed because I stopped. It's not that I didn't get the thought to judge her, but I didn't continue. I just dropped it there and then it went nowhere. And this started to be the source of understanding so deeply that thoughts don't hurt you unless you believe them and add on. It sounds so simple, but that was the beginning. And then my husband and I, who were there for this transmission in Ireland, never ever complained about Melissa, talked about her weight behind her back. Now, she'd lost 100 pounds before this, gained it back, but found that losing weight, being thin, is not the holy grail. Like, it's not the answer. Yes, in this society, it's more fun to be in a smaller body because you don't get treated badly by other people. But there is more to freedom, joy, constancy than a thin body. And she was quite disappointed, I believe, that everything didn't change. And we needed one more round of weight to go through this final piece. So we stopped judging her. She felt it immediately. But when I came home from Ireland, I told her everything the person said, only about Melissa. She checked our bodies. She said, you're not sick yet, but you will be sick if you keep judging. She said nothing about my daughter, Allison. She said nothing about our marriage, our lives, only Melissa. And Melissa was filled with it. And she also said, there's more to life than your dog. And Melissa's bestie in the whole world was her dog, Harry, but that's another story. So she took it in and it took about a month, at least visibly on the outside, but she began what she called being visited by angels. The book is called Angels in My Hair, and it's the first time this author ever told her whole story about angels raising her and so on. So Melissa started getting messages from what she called the angels, and they affected our whole family. We did everything by the angels. The angels say, go to this restaurant. Angels say, don't buy a pass at Universal. You won't need it. We don't buy a pass. We go to that restaurant. We do. It's coming through her so powerfully. The angels told her, you will not need money, so don't charge anymore. Give away everything. And a friend of mine, Arbo just said the author is Lorna Byrne. Lorna
Thank
Byrne,
you, Araba. Thank you.
Byrne. Thank you,
We're
Arba.
so happy you're in the audience with
Yes,
us.
thank you. I'm glad I just peeked up at my message. So, what was I saying? Oh, we did everything according to the angels. But what was so important on Melissa's end, that she became, her whole energy changed. She became someone who had weight from her powerful energy. And my friend was consulting her. Many friends were consulting her. And the answers from the angels astounded them. Like, I could go on and tell you stories, but that's not what this is about. So with one friend, Melissa told her what to do, and she said, Melissa, do you know that author? Melissa said, no. And Melissa said, I just get told what to look up on Google, and I look it up and then I tell you. So I said to Melissa, it's great you're getting, I don't know, she's going to die. It's great you're getting all of this experience. And she said, I don't need experience because it's not me that's doing it. The angels are speaking. So she did everything. They said, she's heavy in the world's terms. The angels say, buy these short shorts and wear them. Melissa says, I don't have the body for short shorts. No, but the angels say, do it. And she does it. I have never witnessed someone so willing to do what the messages say. You and I are, but we don't go out looking ridiculous.
No, no, no. We have that conditioning that keeps us prim and
Right?
proper.
Right?
Yes.
She
Yeah.
did everything. The angels say, don't measure that dining room table. She buys the chairs without measuring. Things don't fit, and she's good with it because this was the biggest. She looked better. Her hair was thinning. She had a little wiglet. It made her look so good. They said, throw away the wiglet. You're beautiful without it. She threw it away. She did everything. So she was a demonstration for me before she died about going all the way and how 100% to believe in these transmissions. But getting back to what you said, what happened? So she wasn't feeling that well. But it was nothing violent. It was nothing big. And she was laying around a lot. So we were more in contact. How are you feeling today? So on. And she didn't believe in doctors anymore because they didn't trust her. When she was heavy and went in and said, I'm not eating sugar, I'm not adding carbohydrates, and her sugar was up, because she was heavy or fat, she could feel their distrust. And so it was an icky experience, and she shunned doctors. And we said, hey, there's a nature path, there's this and that, will pay for it. She said no. So turns out she had 1.5 diabetes. That's a very rare, not well known disease. But I alerted Allison, our other daughter. I don't know why. It was just an intuition. I still didn't feel like she was dying. That was not in my consciousness as a possibility ever. But not ever. I mean, I knew if you're heavy, you're putting the odds in your disfavor, but I never took it seriously, not when she wasn't feeling well. But Allison said to her, can you check your blood sugar? Because she had everything and she wouldn't do it. So I think everyone in our family went a little more into, I think my husband wished we had fought her on the doctor, on the specialist. And Allison, of course, wished she said, got like been crazy and said, God damn it, check your blood sugar. Something extreme that out of her normal conversation to make Melissa do it. But I have to say that even though I did the stages of grief, I never fought the rightness of her dying. I didn't understand it, but I never went, what if? Like, I should have, or something. It did haunt me a little bit that she was alone because we have this, I would have loved to be there. I couldn't have been further away and been in the United States. I was vacationing very far away. But I got a download after she died that you would have taken the dogs away from me. If you were there, you wouldn't have let the dogs see. And the dogs needed to be, she was taking care of another dog besides her Harry. And the dogs needed to understand and try and help me and be with me because they were my besties. I couldn't have thought of that. I
Sure.
could not, it's not even in my imagination as an answer. And she's right. I would have pushed the dogs away. I wouldn't want them to be, I would have, like we do with children, we're falsely protecting them that's a different story. But that's important because it let me know she was still with me in another form. So there were many times in other months after she died that I would write to her on the computer and I would get an answer. Like if I would write, "How can we celebrate your birthday?" I would get back, "How about celebrating my ascension?" Like, that is not in my consciousness. It's just not. I couldn't have made that up as an answer, even in my most creative self. So she was there with me. I wouldn't be doing a TEDx proposal now if she hadn't said in these after months, "Go join this thing that came in your email." I went, "Glass ceiling? I'm retired. I don't have a glass ceiling. I'm not making any money. Nobody's stopping me." She said, "Take this." I take it, and the TEDx big guy, Taylor Conroy, is on there. And I say, "Oh, that is my glass ceiling. Okay, I'll do that." So I stay okay. And then it's been in the background, leading my ascension. So an ascension, that's a big word. That doesn't mean I don't have everyday thoughts that make you feel crazy. When I see what's going on in the United States, I'm filled up, but that's not me. It's a feeling, it's a thought. And that's the difference. So I think I answered what happened. She had 1.5 undiagnosed diabetes and she died. And she had some kind of blood on her when she died because of the fall or because of a wound that was discovered in the autopsy, but that had nothing to do with her death. And the dogs were covered with blood. Harry tried to revive her. He was covered with blood. And that's how they knew Melissa was in there. Her bestie went to the house and he said she didn't show up for a meeting. He went to the house. We gave him permission to call the police. That's how the police were involved. That's how I got that dreadful call that rigor mortis has set in. She's gone. So,
It, like you say, I'm getting chills as you say this story because, like we said in the introduction, this is the last call any mother
yeah,
wants to receive.
yeah,
Um, you said something in your book which I thought was so beautiful, and it aligns with everything you say here about Melissa really being a pure channel to the messages of the angels as she was nearing what you didn't know, that she was getting closer to her true, that you know that veil, supposed veil that lives between when we leave this plane and when we're in it. And you say that, yes, you went through all the grief stages and all that stuff, and then something happened that has shifted everything for you
yes,
and how you look at grief now.
yes,
Can you talk about that?
yes, I would love to. So I was desperate, and I listened to many people who are also desperate, and I did not understand that depression, anger, denial are all fights with what is. Why did it happen? It shouldn't have happened. If only they, if only I. These are all a battle, but there's something so important, Ilonka. It feels good to hurt in a strange way when your person dies. It feels like the right thing. So there's something that feels good about feeling bad that we miss. It just feels, it's not only prescribed, but it's like you are honoring them, even though it's not logical. You know, you're saying you mattered. I ache for you. I would have changed places. It feels right. And we mustn't ever skip that, knowing that that's not spoken of very often. It feels right in some deep way. And so people go through, and they should go through, and they have to go through, because their attachment to what their particular life will be. Ours was a family of 4. This is the way we do Christmas. This is the way we talk to each other. That is over. Love is not over. The person in their body form is over. But a lot of what we call love is attachment. They did this for me. Now I have to do everything. I miss them so much. Do you miss the love, or do you miss what they did? It's okay to miss what they did, but we shouldn't confuse it with love. So there were many things that were important about the grief process. And there was a day that I looked out into the ocean and I thought, if I keep walking, maybe I can meet up with her again. And I'd never had a thought. I've done dangerous suicidal things, not with the intention of suicide, but just crazy, edgy things in my life. But I'd never really thought of taking my life. And I noticed, oh, that's suicidal ideation. I'm a therapist, but I didn't care. Like, that was okay. But I didn't judge it either and say, oh, I better call somebody. Oh, I better tell somebody. Oh, I'll be scared and now be in another hole adding to it. I didn't add to it, but it wasn't a decision, and it didn't come from a stepping thing. Oh, this is the next step. Don't add. No, it's just that I didn't add, and I felt the sand and I heard the surf and I kept walking in the wind, and I didn't walk out. There wasn't a movement to walk out. It was just a thought. And we can take that as being special, or we can take that became my paradigm. I feel everything to the fullest, like the hissy fit, people who are in my community that, before I went to a retreat and I talked about it, I felt it all, but it didn't stick. It felt sticky, but it didn't stick because I didn't believe in every thought means anything. It's just a thought. It's just a feeling. Honor it. It's not that it means nothing. Yes, it was meaningful that I was so missing her and so despairing that I would think of that. But it doesn't mean that I need to take my life or that I'm in danger. It doesn't mean all the things we add. So it's both important and not important. It's very hard to describe, Ilonka. I have tried so many ways, so many times, and I actually don't feel I'm successful. So maybe you can help. How do
About that in a
we?
second because I love how you, when you read your book and you actually put it in a fable. So that was very powerful because now it's not me, it's not you. We're looking at it happening. And so the way you describe that there is, I found it very powerful. I got it
And you know
immediately.
what? You're about the one of the few that understood that story was for all of us. Most people think it's a nice story for children about weight. I'm sorry to say that, but that is most people. That is
Yeah.
what I get on my book tours and talking to
Yeah.
people. And my hope was that it was easier to take in as a story for all of us
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
I say it to a child. So what happened is it couldn't have been lower. There I was, willing to take my own life to join her. And in the middle of feeling such extreme, and I had heard this before, kind of a shaking or a tapping on my shoulder, but I was so into what I was into that I ignored it. And this time I couldn't stop it. I felt I was being shook physically from the inside. Like I wasn't trembling. I wasn't nervous. And then the suffering was gone. And I went, well, how can that be? I'm aware she's still dead, but I'm not hurting. Where did the hurt go? And I got the message. I don't really know if I heard the words, "you're okay." It feels like I did, but I was not processing for something important like remember this. My experience was I was told you're okay. And I saw, wow, I actually am, but how can that be? And then I went to, and then I was defending feeling wounded. And I said, well, I'm a mother who lost her daughter. Don't I deserve to hurt, basically? And then I saw that makes no sense. She died, and I'm going to honor her by hurting for the rest of my life. Like, I'm going to own I need to hurt. And then I thought, this is crazy. But then I thought, well, maybe I won't tell anybody I'm okay so that I can be accepted, so people will still love me. So I'll still join the mothers who lost daughters and be in that club. And then it was only a millisecond. It was like, no, you could never do that. You could never do that. But look at the taboo that I was shown. Like it's going to be hard. Maybe I'll be alone. Nobody will understand. How can I be okay? And so that Ilonka, it became my home. So today, if I'm into something, I don't want to go to that retreat. I don't want to know those people. I don't want to go there. I just want to stay home. It's scary to be there. I feel the Nazis that my grandparents went through sometimes about groups, that they're not safe. Nothing's ever happened to me. Yes, as a fat kid, I had bullying experiences, but nothing like the Nazis. But I feel that's in my epigenetic history, and it's real, and it comes up occasionally. But I don't give it the lens and the meaning that maybe I shouldn't go to the retreat. I don't feel like it. Maybe that's a message. No, a message is so simple, like you're all right. It's like, watch this video, do this, don't do that. It's not paragraphs of the because and the why and this and the future and the at least not my experience, and nobody that I've ever heard gets a download. That it's like sometimes it's not words, it's move in this direction.
Because it's not the logical mind.
It's not
It's not the
logical.
logical
And
mind at all.
usually it's illogical to the
Yeah.
person receiving it. It's what you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Usually.
But so, and
Opening.
that, I think you described it so beautifully. And that I think for so many out there who have lost, and then especially when you lose a child. And I remember my own grandmother always said that her biggest wish was that she would die before her children did. That's what needed to happen. And it didn't. And that loss can be so life changing. And I find it so beautiful how that for you, it was almost like Melissa reaching back and shaking you and giving you permission to live your life in joy and purpose.
Yes. She's given me purpose. Her death has given me purpose.
Exactly.
Way more than I had before she died.
Yeah.
And we're so into the good and the bad. So am I saying it's good she died? No, but I'm not saying it's bad either. Getting off that paradigm of the pairs, good, bad, high, low, up, down, worthy, unworthy. Let's get off those questions and be in the beingness of just living. And that's finding a new home. I'm calling that my home. I'm calling that place. I don't want to make it sound biblical, but that whole thing of what does it mean to be in the world but not of the world? What does that, I mean, it's actually a real place.
Yeah.
Presence, that's not personal.
Yeah.
So if we make everything personal, we cannot step into the oneness. The oneness is not personal. It's everyone.
Yeah.
And when we're all personal, the message is for me as a person. No, I'm just embodying the totality at that moment, but it's not the separate person.
Yeah.
It's so hard to find the words to say this is tangible. If we just step back from the meaning we make of our thoughts and feelings.
Is that what you refer to as quantum belonging in one of your other books? You talk about quantum
Yes,
belonging.
more the inside job. Yes, it is that we always think of belonging as a group allowing us in. And a group probably won't let you in if you feel you don't belong, or you won't get that feeling of belonging when you get in the group. You're going to be looking for the next group. It's a never ending personality search. But belonging to yourself, we could kind of say belonging to yourself with capital SELF. Maybe if we change the word, is belonging to your soul. This place that is not my personality, that notices my personality, takes responsibility for my personality, but doesn't believe in my personality in the sense of honoring it like a deity. It's a strategy that we develop from conditioning in our family. And it's as real as the body. It lives, but it's not us. The soul or the witness, the way I like to say it, the way I did in the fable, is when you first observe yourself, like me with that hissy fit, I see, oh, I don't want to go, no, 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 no. It's almost like saying, no, 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 while I'm saying it. I'm feeling it, it's intense, but I'm going, yeah, so what? I'm not saying those words, but that energy is so sure that I'm not going to make anything of it. So it's completely allowed, but it's not anything important. Now, I realize that some thoughts, like the person who was so wonderful that came up with the light bulb or the iPhone or the computer, that makes us want to hold on to thoughts are real and important, but they're not personal. That's the one thing I thought of today that I never have thought of. What's the difference between the thoughts that are helping the world or the genius of thoughts? They're not personal. They're not, the personality might say, yay, me, look at me, I'm so rich. I came up with this. But the thought that created it was for everyone and everyone benefited. But it's the thoughts that are personal. I'm not good enough. You're this, you're that. When we judge others, those are the ones we can throw away because they're hurtful.
And I think that's what you talk about in the book, where you say to learn to distinguish between your personality mind and what you call your true I. That comes from your true essence. And
Yeah.
that it doesn't judge. It just notices what is.
Yes. And I had a person who said, I read your book 3 times. I still don't know who that I is. So we took everyone through the observer. So I observe the hissy fit. I see I'm thinking this stuff and, oh God, look at me. And I still care about the thoughts and the feelings. That observer is still a little into it. But if I step back a little further and notice the witness that sees the observer. Now I'm a little less into it, right?
Yeah.
I care a little less about whatever. And now I'm like, look at that rather than my feelings, my thoughts. They're just thoughts, they're just feelings. They're only something when we put our lens on it.
Yeah.
And if we can just spend a little more time pulling back, I promise, if we're willing to believe in that place, we believe in the thoughts and the feelings, we believe in our bodies, we believe in the unworthiness. If we would experiment and believe, like just take a feeling you were upset with anybody today. Like you had a thing this morning where
Yeah.
you didn't feel your best and you were stunned by it, but you didn't say, oh, this is the new me. Look at it. You just noticed it. You
Yeah.
didn't put an interpretation on it except to wake up that you've been maybe too busy putting out,
Exactly.
not taking care of this holy thing we've been
Yeah.
endowed with, our bodies,
And see it
right?
like a potential message. It's not always, but the outer world, the quantum world, that vastness speaks to us in so many different ways. Really, I'm so grateful that we went into depth because beyond the book, you've really shared now, Melissa, how she had become a portal of that quantum world,
Yeah.
of that knowingness. And she was allowing herself to be led.
Yes. And she belonged. Talk about belonging,
Wow,
quantum
I'm just getting
belonging.
chills all over
She told
saying
me
that.
she doesn't need permission. She doesn't need experience. She's getting direct
Wow.
information. And it's the same person who might have been called nice, but kind of introverted and maybe a little deferential, was a powerhouse. She stepped into her power. I mean, none of us would argue with the angels when she said what it was. And it was always true. Who goes to these places and doesn't need a pass and doesn't have any lines? And the dinner she picked out, I'd been there. It was terrible dinner, but we went when she said, and it was a fabulous dinner. I didn't know they had a new chef, like,
That is
it
amazing.
was an amazing ride to be with her
Wow.
before she died. And when I said at her memorial that I felt lucky, I don't think people believed me. But, you could see when people don't believe you,
Yeah.
they look like. But it is my experience that I feel so lucky, and we can honor our experience. It's just a different kind of cultural teaching, which you talk about in your fabulous book in a million different ways, how we have to change the order of things when we know better. When we get these quantum downloads, it's up to us to share them if anyone is interested. And that's why I came out of retirement, not for the big money. The things I do don't make, so far haven't made big money. I love
Yet.
money. I have
Yeah.
nothing against money, but it's not the purpose. It's not
No.
what drives me. It's not what motivates me. If I can make one person or allow one person to open to the freedom that's available to each of us,
Yeah.
we don't have to be erudite. We don't need to have even a method, just a willingness to see if there's something besides our thoughts, feelings, and our conditioning.
Oh my goodness, Rosalyn. I think that's a beautiful place that we can, I won't say end it because I want to invite you back. Because when we started this, there's so much in those books to unpack. And I believe there's one more theme that I would love to talk to you about, and that is the matriarchal conditioning that your mother, you, and your daughter had around weight, and all the conditioning of the world around that. But that's for another episode.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to thank you alone, Rosalyn, because I really felt that Melissa was here with us. So I want to thank you, Melissa, from that quantum belonging world. I want to thank you as well. I'm getting chills all over. I really want to thank you for, together with your mom, who was your mom in this earthly life, bringing us this wisdom. I will put in the show notes, definitely go to Rosalyn's, her website,
Mm-hmm.
because there you can find the book through there. So Rosalyn, Melissa, thank you for walking us through the shadow, reminding us that presence is power, and for holding this sacred space
Mm-hmm.
that turns
Thank
pain
you.
into possibility. So, and if you're listening and something stirred within you today, if you felt seen, softened, or simply more here and present, I think Rosalyn's message and Melissa's message is you're not alone. And this conversation was really a transmission, and it doesn't end with the words, they continue to echo. So go to Rosalyn's website. It's rosalynrourke.com. We'll put it in the show notes. Her powerful book, When Wisdom Arrives, it's available there. But we're not quite done yet, right, Rosalyn?
Right.
We're going to continue this soul-led dialogue in the Quantum Rebel VIP Lounge. That's our sacred after space circle, where we deepen the conversation with our visionary guests. And it's such an honor to be able to continue this heartfelt conversation with you there. For the listeners, it's complimentary, it's curated, it's intentional. And so if your heart is nudging, we welcome you to join us next time. Register. We'll put it in the show notes also. And then we'll see you next time at 2:00, where we continue to amplify the voices that are shaping what's next through resonance, remembrance, and revolutionary intuitive insight. So until then, trust the now, as Rosalyn says, and step into your soul's calling and let your voice become a lighthouse shaping what's next.
Mm.
Until next time.
Thank you, Ilonka, and everyone.
Build your quantum empire, not by working harder, but by aligning with energetic precision, where strategy follows soul and timelines collapse. Sacred wealth flows, legacy impact scales, and sovereign influence expands. Let's amplify the voices shaping what's next. Subscribe, share, and leave a review at www.visionaryvoicesunleashed.com. And then join us in the Quantum Rebel VIP Lounge after every live show to continue the dialogue. You can register at www.thequantumrebel.com/podcast. Together we rise to shape what's next.